Welcome back, everyone. I'm Robin from This Blog's Neat, and I hope you've been following along as I've been tasting these 4 different samples of High Ester unaged rums that were sent to me by Phil, one of my Patreons. Thank you, Phil. And today I'm trying the 4th one, the last one. This is the last video. And they have all, I think, gotten more and more funky as we go, or at least that's kind of what my hope is here. Now, you clicked this video so you know exactly what I'm tasting. This is a pretty unique rum because it is a rum that comes from South Africa. This is Mhoba pot stilled high ester rum sitting at 66.2% ABV. Now, we don't really have access to Mhoba in the US. Most of what gets exported goes to the French and European market. And actually, most of what they produce is exported. So you may not have heard of Mhoba, but I think if you're a rum nerd, you probably have. It was founded in 2013 by Robert Greaves, and his family has been farming sugarcane in the area since the 1980s. Now, Mhoba is located in the small town of Malalan in Mpumalanga near Mozambique. This is a small farming town where they grow a whole lot of sugarcane to supply the very large sugar mill that's nearby. And Robert took advantage of the fact that there's sugarcane everywhere and none of it was being used to make rum. So he started producing rum, and what they make at Mhoba is all sugarcane, fresh pressed sugarcane juice rums. I believe there are like 10-ish different expressions. He has a few unaged expressions. There's the pot stilled white, which is a double pot distilled light rum. He has the select release white, which is a blend of specific cuts that he wants to blend together for the specific release. And then there is the high ester white rum or unaged rum that is made using extended fermentation times. In this case, it's 22 days and is fermented using dunder. They use 30% dunder in the fermentation. And it's bottled at still strength, so 66.2% ABV. I'd say that's like on the moderate to low end of a still strength, so retaining a lot of those flavors there. Now, Robert is a mechanical engineer, I believe, and he built their stills as well as their cane mill. And it's a pretty unique cane mill. Most of the ones that I've seen kind of have these roller mills where you slide the cane stalks into them and then they get rolled in the rollers and it squeezes out all the juice. But this is a hydraulic press. So they load up the hydraulic press with a whole bunch of cane and press it all down. It takes a little bit longer and it's a batch process, but Robert says it's more efficient than using a roller mill. He built all of the stills that they have as well. They're wood fired, but the wood actually heats up hot oil that then pumps through the stills, and that's what heats up the stills. And they're stainless steel on the outside, but the interior is copper. And they also have a cool water feature out front that is actually how they're cooling their stills, the condensers of their stills. Now, of the 4 rums that I've tried in this batch of high ester unaged rums, this is the only one that is fresh pressed juice based. Otherwise, they all have dunder added into them, just like this one does, and are all pot distilled. But yeah, this one's fresh pressed sugarcane juice. And I think that's noticeable on the nose. I think if I probably didn't know that, I would have been able to guess that based on just the savoriness on the nose. There's a lot more vegetal grassiness that comes through right away on the nose. I'm getting a lot of pickled vegetables, like a whole mix of pickled vegetables, not just pickles, like pickled vegetables. And there's some nail polish remover. I'm getting some olives as well, just a little bit, but they're like sweet olives. I don't know if that's a thing. I don't like olives, so I don't eat olives, but I'm assuming there's probably some sweeter olives out there. I'm also getting some bell peppers. There's some sun-dried tomatoes in here as well, along with some canned tomatoes. There's a little bit of a wood glue thing in here as well. Some like fresh herbs that I can't really pinpoint. And some like fruits as well that I'm like struggling to pinpoint. Again, it's like predominantly this like vegetal, like pickled vegetable thing coming forward. I really like it. It's very different from the other three that I tried. It's definitely funky and weird, but in a good way. I like it. Wow. I feel like the palate is so different from the nose. Like there's so many more fruits on the palate. Wow. So first of all, there's a nice oily mouthfeel for 66.2% ABV. This had a pretty low heat, I would say. There's juicy but dried figs. There's golden raisins. Ooh, a little mustiness. There's dried mulberries in here. A little bit of like an oyster shell salinity minerality thing. A touch of peppers, like a touch of like peppercorns. I get a little bit of allspice and just like a little bit of that pickled vegetable thing with just a tiny drop of nail polish remover. But yeah, then I go back to the nose and it's just those pickled veggies and nail polish. Nail polish remover. It's so fun because it's like, I think I figured it out, and then it just takes me in a bunch of different directions on the palate. Like I thought I was getting more of that pickled vegetable thing, almost like banana peppers. And then it hopped to fruits, lots of raisins, a little bit of mustiness. It hops back to like this peppery thing. It's kind of hopping all over the place, which is really fun. This is definitely, it's very, very complex. A really fun rum. I know they also have a bunch of aged rums, and I'd be interested to see how this does with a little bit of age on it. So if you've tried any of their rums, unaged or aged, let me know what you think of them. Mhoba seems like a really cool distillery, and as I said, most of what they produce gets exported. I guess there isn't the market for it in South Africa. So they send pretty much everything to Europe and France. I think some independent bottlers are starting to pick them up and make them more readily available. Maybe not quite yet in the US, but maybe. And I'm excited to see what else they have to offer. So I feel like since this is the last video, I should do a summary of the 4 rums that I tried and try to give them a little bit of a ranking. In summary, I tried 4 different rums that are all high ester, unaged rums. And now I say high ester because I think I'm going to need to disqualify one of them from this sample. This group of samples. I don't think that it fits into my high ester category. I think it would fit more into a kind of like unaged pot distilled rum category. So like comparing it with my own rum and maybe like the privateer, the unaged privateer that was bottled by Habitation Vellier, comparing it to rums like that versus rums that are using extended fermentation, dunder, muck. I mean, the Mhoba isn't using muck or isn't using a double retort pot still or anything like that. I think it's the extended 22-day fermentation along with the dunder, along with the fresh pressed cane juice and the distillation cuts that they're taking. I think all of that together is what results in this really flavorful, really complex, all over the place in a good way rum. But the one that I'm going to disqualify from this is the Dropworks Funk Drop, because I think that needs to be compared with other rums and not this rum. But in summary, that one to me was pretty subtle, and I think needs to be compared with other rums that are also pretty subtle. But I think overall, like, it's a good pot distilled rum that is cane syrup based, which I do like cane syrup based rums, but I think it needs to be compared in another group of rums. So the second one that I tried was the Warehouse One New Yarmouth NYE mark at 63% ABV. And I thought that was absolutely wonderful. It was, as far as ester concentration goes, lower than the third one that I tried, but still had a pretty high ester concentration, sitting at like 500 to 700 grams of esters per hectoliter of pure alcohol. That one was really nice. There was a lot of fruitiness on the nose and on the palate, and I thought it had a lot of complexity. I really enjoyed that one. And then the third one I tried was the Long Pond TECC mark, bottled by SBS Origin, which is their highest mark, sitting at 1,500 to 1,600 grams of esters per hectoliter of pure alcohol. It's at 57% ABV, which still should have packed a big punch. And maybe because I just went from the New Yarmouth to that one, my palate was a little fatigued. It had some fruitiness, some nail polish on the nose, but then the palate was a lot more vegetal, herbal, grassy. And then the last one I tried was this one, the Mhoba High Ester rum, sitting at 66.2% ABV. So out of these three, because I have deemed Funk Drop disqualified for this ranking, I think my least favorite was the SBS Origin TECC, or the Long Pond TECC. I think I was expecting a lot more from that one, and it did kind of punch lower than what I assumed it was going to, which is maybe my fault because I was going in with high expectations of getting punched in the face like I did with DOK. I think second place, I'll put the Mhoba High Ester rum. Now, I really enjoyed this one. It's super interesting, really complex. Like I said, it was like kind of like taking me all over the place with all these different flavors. It was really fun. But I think, overall, the flavors and aromas that I enjoyed more were the New Yarmouth. Hey, Kiney. Where you going, baby? I really enjoyed the Mhoba High Ester rum, but I think I liked the New Yarmouth just a little bit better. Just a little bit. And that's just because of the kind of balance of flavors. And if I were to buy one of these, I honestly think I would go for the Mhoba High Ester rum because it is so unique and so fun. And I feel like I don't have another rum that's like that. The New Yarmouth NYE Did you just throw him a spring? That one is really delicious. I would buy that one too. If you're looking for something that is nice and funky but not over the top, definitely go with the New Yarmouth NYE But if you're looking for something that is super unique and really interesting, I would go with the Mhoba High Ester rum for sure. Anyways, I know I've done a couple of series of videos similar to this where I do tastings of groups of spirits, mostly rums, right? I feel like it's mostly unaged high ester rums that end up getting grouped in like this. But if you enjoyed these videos, please subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, watch more of my videos, share them with your friends. Let me know in the comments what you thought of any of the rums that I tried or any other rums that you think I need to try. With that, these rums are great. So thank you again, Phil, for sending me these samples. And before I go, I don't know if I've already done this or not, but thank you so much to my Patreons. Thank you for helping to support the channel. And if you, the viewer, would also like to join us on Patreon, I'd be super thankful if you did. And I've got a link in the description below where you can find us over there.